The four-man rush, looking at them with time. Now throwing deep up, nice. Johnson beat his man. Made the catch at the 40, at the 30. Angle left 20, he's gone. That one's it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Top 25 Breakdown. Today we have number 15, Syracuse, our first ACC team of this breakdown.
First trip.
Yeah, first trip to the ACC, and we have Syracuse. They did really well last year, going 10-3, with really close wins. I mean, really a close game against Clemson. Played really well against them, but also getting wins over North Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest, Louisville, and Boston College.
This is a team that was like really surprising to I think everybody. Where they pulled out a double-digit season, which is not known for for the Syracuse team. And this is also a team where they averaged 40 points a game last year, and they averaged about 465 total offensive yards each game. So this team was pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it was very good, especially with having Dino Babers there, and developing that kind of culture there, and establishing that kind of like that attitude to have to play. In the ACC, I think they've done a really good job, especially keeping it close with Clemson the last couple of years.
Yep.
And then they did pull out an upset. Was it 2 years ago? I think it was at Syracuse. With having this such a successful year at 10-3, they do return a lot of good pieces. I would start with the running backs, Mo Neal and Abdul Adams. They should be a couple of the main guys that the Orange will lean on.
Yeah, definitely. But they do have Jarvian Howard as well in the running back rotation. He did have his freshman season last year. He did average about 5 yards a carry. He had 315 total yards. Had 7 touchdowns more than the senior Mo Neal.
Right. Oh, they also do bring back slot receivers Sean Riley and Nakeem Johnson to help out DeVito. And also they do have Christian Jackson, who transferred to Michigan State, and who's a big candidate to watch as the breakout player of that offense next year.
Right. So that's a deep receiving core.
Yeah, and they also do have sophomore Taj Harris, who's a rising threat on the outside. So they're going to be very good on the receiving side.
They'll be in good hands.
Yeah, and then I would also say defensive pieces. They do bring back a lot of good defensive pieces. I think you got to start on defensive line. With Allen Robertson, and then Kendall Coleman, and then Josh Black.
Right.
Syracuse secondary is going to be huge, as Chris Frederick and Evan Foster, and Trill Williams and Andre Sisco. But I think mentioning those guys, I think the biggest strength on their team is defense.
Overall,
I think defense is a huge strength. I would also say the running core depth, and also the receiving core is going to be huge. But the defense, I think that's where the main tension is at.
I think there's just not very many question marks on this team. I do see that the strengths are definitely in the secondary. Like you mentioned already, returning player Andre Sisco, Evan Foster. Andre Sisco, the free safety, and Evan Foster, the strong safety. They have a star. They have this kid Andre Sisco, who he's only spent 1 year in college football and already tied, or was maybe in the lead at some points for total interceptions in the year. He had 7 last year. He had a total of 60 total tackles, and 46 total tackles. This kid is amazing. He's only entering his second season. You're gonna expect him to get even better than that, or at the same caliber. And then they have experience with Evan Foster at strong safety, who has 86 total tackles last year, with 5.5 tackles for losses.
Yeah, so that first year for him was huge, as it gave him the All-America honors, and he was named the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. So that's huge for them. I agree with you. They do bring back a lot of leadership, a lot of experience on the defensive side of the football. I think one of the biggest issues is linebacker, but we'll get to that in their concerns and weaknesses. Also, I think their defensive line is going to be huge this year. I think having edge rushers like Allen Robertson and Kendall Coleman, who came off a double-digit sack seasons last year, is going to be huge. They're going to get after the quarterback. Also, junior Josh Black, he shifted to nose tackle, and will look to fill enormous shoes as Chris Slayen is gone. Opposing teams needed to double-team him because he was a monster.
He's dangerous. Very dangerous. Dangerous man.
And also, this team finished 6th in sacks last year. That's huge.
Yeah, very huge.
That's huge. So
this is are we looking at one of the best D lines in the country?
That could be a question. Like they make a good argument.
They can make a good argument, or they probably one of the best D lines in the ACC itself.
I would say they rank up high in the ACC, but I think within like the entire college football, I think they're in the top 10. You can make a good
make an
argument to put them in the top 10. As we mentioned in the strengths a little bit, I think the linebacker unit is going to be one of the concerns for this year. The Orange last year, they leaned hard on seniors Ryan Guthrie and Keelan Whitner, who are now gone, but that's not huge because the Syracuse do have experienced options such as Lakeem Williams and Andrew Armstrong. But they also do have underclassmen that are very talented, like Juan Wallace, Mikael Jones, and Lee Pogba, if I'm saying that right. Probably not. But it'll be interesting to see which one of them kind of breaks away from the pack and kind of steps up.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those moments where somebody has to step up in order for them to be, I guess not in order for them to be successful, because they're going to be successful no matter what.
Right.
But I think one of them has to step up in order and take leadership and has to fill that role for everybody else.
Yeah, especially because of that linebacker unit. It's going to be huge, because that's kind of one of the middle of that defense that needs to be strong and stout and needs to at least keep up with the D-line and the secondary, and it'll help the secondary and the D-line.
Right.
And another concern is offensive line. They have 3 losses on the offensive line with Cody Conway and Dakota Martin.
Yep.
Both tackles, and left guard Aaron Roberts are gone, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this offensive line gets readjusted with new faces. They do have some experienced guys, I think, that did play last year, so that'll be good. But they need to do a better job of protecting the quarterback, especially now with Tommy DeVito. Because he is not Eric Dungey.
He's not Eric Dungey. Eric Dungey did have a lot of scrambling plays or a lot of rollout plays where he made plays happen for his team. Tommy DeVito is not that. He's definitely like you mentioned before, a pocket passer mainly, and he's already been in 7. He's had some playing time in 7 games. He had a rough year last year, but I feel like he's gonna step up to the challenge. I honestly do feel that Dino Babers is gonna be able to get him in the groove and get him working really well, just because I do believe that many people believe that Tommy DeVito is going to be a better passer than Eric Dungey was.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito was a much better passer than Eric Dungey was. I think the big thing that separates them is Eric Dungey was much more mobile, and he created plays with his feet, and he had the ability to go take off and run.
Yeah, whenever he needs to. Yep.
Yeah, whenever he was under duress. I think that'll be very different with Tommy DeVito. I think what they'll need to do is create a lot more screen plays, especially with the running backs that they have.
Yep.
And they also need to do a little more short pass game and medium game.
Yeah, mid-range game. It's just one of those, like you mentioned already before, it's one of those things that O-line needs to step up. O-line has to fill the roles and needs to be able to protect him long enough in order to throw those short passes or maybe even throw a long one down the field.
Yeah. So as we move to the 2019 season, the good thing is they don't play Notre Dame this year.
Yeah.
That is one of the good things. So the biggest opponent that they have on schedule is Clemson, and they get that week 3. The good thing about that is they get Clemson after Texas A&M. That's week 2 for Clemson, and that could set up a very good game for Syracuse as they could look to get a win.
Yeah, Clemson's going to definitely be walking in there. If not, they might win it, they might lose it. They're going to be beaten up no matter what. They're going to be tested from that week 2 game with Texas A&M, and they're going to be entering even a hostile environment with a decent or pretty good Syracuse team at Syracuse.
Yeah, I think that's a really good matchup because we'll see an offensive line versus a very strong defensive line for the first time in a while. But the Clemson offensive line will have seen a very good defense with Texas A&M before.
Yeah.
So
Clemson's going to be coming in there battle tested.
Yeah, but we also have to expect that this game will be close because the last couple of years it has been close.
It has been close.
Dino Babers has done a good job of strategically moving people around for the Clemson game and keeping them close in these games. Now, last year they did lose Trevor Lawrence to neck injury, I think, in the beginning of the game early.
Tough.
So the lucky for them, third-string quarterback for Clemson saved the day for them.
Saved the day. I think he game managed. He did enough for them to stay on top.
Right. Yeah, he did enough. But they do start early. I mean, really easy with at Liberty, at Maryland, then versus Clemson, Western Michigan, and Holy Cross. So the first 2 games are away, but the last 3 are in the beginning are home.
Yep. This is a must be 4-1 by the time they finish this before their first bye week.
Basically, by October they have to be 4-1 to have a really good successful year.
Yeah, and I strongly believe if they're not 4-1 by the time they reach North Carolina State, they might not have as great year as they did last year. They're probably going to fall. Probably going to drop a couple games. Morale might be a little down, but they need to be 4-1 in order to really have that morale up and for everybody to be on board and ready to go for the rest of the season.
Right. After the bye, they do have to go to NC State. They do host Pitt, at Florida State, and then Boston College. So it's away, home, and then they have a bye at Duke, at Louisville, and Wake Forest at home. So the last couple games, the last I would say 7 games are very winnable for them.
Very winnable.
So I think with that said, they should win a lot of these games.
And
their toughest game could probably be Boston College.
In those last 7, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. The Boston College is going to be very tough. They do have A.J. Dillon. They do have a great offensive line. And we really can't say much about Florida State because they had a bad year last year. They didn't have a great year last year, but we can't forget that they have so much talent because they are Florida State.
Right.
So right now we can't really speak much on Florida State just because they're still in the rebuilding stage. I would assume, and they do have their new head coach going into his second season. So.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, the Florida State is very interesting because we don't know where they're at. They do need to fix a lot of their stuff. As we've seen before, Florida State, their offensive line cannot block anybody. Their offensive line was atrocious. And we've seen what was it, Francois
and Blackman
under duress the entire game, and then we've seen Francois get taken down numerous times, and it does not look fun.
Blackman getting bullied back there, definitely.
So I think that's one of the biggest questions for Florida State is can they fix that offensive line? But that's a whole different team, and maybe we'll do a breakdown on them. But
we'll see.
We'll see about that.
But I'm thinking these last 3 games are definitely winnable for them for the Syracuse team at Duke, at Louisville, and home to Wake Forest. Those last 3 games I'm thinking are definite wins for this team.
Yeah. So what do you think worst case scenario looking at the schedule?
Worst case scenario, I'm thinking a 7-5 season. They need to get Tommy DeVito up to speed and ready to roll right from the jump. But there's some good teams here that are probably going to be a little bit better. We already know Clemson's going to be a great team. We already know NC State's going to be a solid team. They do lose Ryan Finley, but I'm sure they can replace him fairly easily. They do play a Pitt team, which we assume will get better. They did make the conference championship last year. We still assume that they will get a couple more wins under their belt. And like we said, Boston College is good, and maybe Florida State comes around. And
it's interesting to see this ACC. Just the entire ACC, just because it should be getting better.
Yeah.
Every year, and especially this coming year. But I do think that worst case scenario, I think it's going to be 9-3. I think they're going to get to 9 wins. Just because I think Tommy DeVito, I don't think there is anything to catch him up on. I do think that the offensive line is the biggest question. Is can they block for him?
Yeah.
Because he needs time to throw. He also needs to not be on the ground as much because if he goes down, I don't know who the backup is.
That's true.
If he goes down, this season could be in the trash, honestly. But I do think that this team is very good defensively. Offensively, they do have a lot of pieces on the receiving and the running game, so I think they'll be very good. I think 9-3.
It just comes down to the quarterback play, and it comes down to the O-line having to protect him. They need to protect him, or this season will not be good.
Right. So what do you think most likely?
Most likely scenario, I'm thinking 8-4, 9-3. I'm leaning more on the 9-3 side because you're really talking me into it. But they only face real tests against Clemson, Boston College, a Florida State team. Like you said, like we've already mentioned previously, ACC did have a down year last year,
right.
And a lot of the teams are either rebuilding or or not rebuilding, more like reloading. So,
some of those teams are rebuilding, and others are just reloading or trying to reload.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I think, my most likely scenario is 10-2. I think their toughest games will probably be Clemson, and I would say Boston College. I do think that Boston College offense they're bringing mostly everybody back, I think, except for I think one offensive lineman, but that's a whole nother
team,
whole nother breakdown. But I do think that game will be very interesting to watch. A lot of both offenses, how they both do against each other's defense,
right?
And also I think the Clemson matchup, I can kind of see it being close this year again, but Trevor Lawrence has shown that there is no stage big enough for him.
There's no stage big enough for him.
So,
he's ready to go in the NFL, or a lot of people are saying that he's ready to be an NFL caliber quarterback.
Right. So I do think that 10-2 is a very good year for them. Another 10-win season, and then possibly getting another bowl win. But I do think that their toughest games for this year is Clemson and Boston College. So what do you think the best case scenario for them?
Best case scenario for me is your most likely scenario, 10-2. I still think they're going to lose that Clemson game in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen no matter what. But then like you mentioned before, the Boston College. But again, I'm gonna keep repeating myself. If Florida State gets on top of it, they could lose to Florida State and then probably beat Boston College the week after.
Yeah, for my best case scenario, I do think that they go 11-1. I think they lose to, I would say, a Clemson, or they lose to Boston College. I do think that they play Clemson at a very good time. They play them right after Texas A&M gets done with them. So it'll be very interesting to see who's injured and who's really kind of ready to get through this kind of long schedule, especially on the Clemson side of the football.
Yep.
I do think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the best quarterback that they will play.
Yeah.
Easily. But it will be very interesting to see that matchup again this year, just because we've always said it. Clemson and Syracuse, somehow it's always close.
Always close.
Somehow, some way. But we'll definitely see that, and then Dino Babers does a really good job of, setting up and doing a really good job of
developing players.
Oh,
his recruiting class is really just full of 3-stars, but they're able to hang with Clemson sometimes. So
yeah, and especially how good their defense was last year. What you can do with 3 stars is very amazing.
Yeah.
And really, it's a feat that he can hold and be like, I can develop kids or these guys to
be amazing, to be great,
to basically be the number 6 pass rushing defense to get sacks. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. If you guys liked it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe because it helps us out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.